Marina Orlenko has been studying the history of her family for the last 10 years. Hours of work in the declassified archives of the SBU have shown results. She managed to find out the fate of the brother of her husband's grandmother, Prohor Kopshchenko. His family has a big plot of land in Pyrohiv near Kiev. In the early 1930s, everything was taken away from them, everything they earned over many generations.
The whole family worked. They had a lot of kids, big storages. They were the target of the dispossession of the kulaks campaign. The Kopshchenko house was taken away. That house is still there in Pyrohiv. Near it is a well. It is still called Prohor's well.
The Kopshchenko family was deported to the Ural Mountains. It was an ordinary event in those years. The campaign against wealthy peasants and farmers was at its peak. The government was pretending to have the best interests of the poor in mind. Property was taken only from the rich bourgeois and given to those who did not have property. Soviet propaganda was trying to divide the peasants. In order to do that, they would demonize wealthier villagers and even created a special term for them, the kulaks. They were the first target. The government had several goals in mind. First, to intimidate villagers. Second, kulaks were independent and respected, and they had to be removed from the villages to decrease the possibility of any resistance. Prohor Kopshchenko was still drawn back to his homeland, so he escaped from exile, returned to Kiev, and tried to return back to his village. That cost him his life.
He opposed collectivization, and when he met his friends in Pyrohiv, he always spoke out against it and against Soviet authorities. Of course, someone reported him and he was taken in by the NKVD. Soon they executed him.
The Soviet government used confiscated farms and land plots to create collective farms where they forced local peasants to work. Collectivization was not used to develop agriculture, but to take away any economic alternative from peasantry, to turn independent farmers into a completely dependent from the government village proletariat. Ukrainian villagers tried to resist, and in the 1930s even managed to halt collectivization. These were mostly female riots. For example, female peasants would gather to defend their cattle from being taken away in order to have milk to feed their children. Of course, there were other forms of revolt. In spring, Stalin backed down, but the collectivization restarted in the fall of the same year, in a much lighter form. State propaganda promised that collective farms would increase labor productivity. The Soviet government demanded to increase harvest by 150% because Ukrainian villages had to feed the Soviet proletariat. In fact, the government wanted complete control of agricultural production. When the farmer was running a home and was the sole owner of what he produced, the farmer would sell it to the government if the price was right, but if the government offered lower prices, he could refuse. In the end, the Soviet government started expropriating food. Historians say that this was the collectivization that gave the Soviet government the tools to organize the artificial famine on the territory of Ukraine. Reported by Yulia Kryuchkova for UATV.